Morning, everybody. This is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. I want to give you an overview of my new sawmill. And while I'm heading out there, I'll tell you why and the how. I sold the big red sawmill, which by the way was a Foley Belsaw M14, for a nice amount of money because sawmills are getting very much in demand and popular and harder to come by. And I used some of the money to buy a beautiful fence for our family to get the materials to build that properly and to pay some bills. And I kept some of the money aside for another sawmill. That was the plan. So all gain, no loss. Now, I keep this protected by multiple layers of electric fence wire. I'm not sure if you can see it all. I have it turned off, obviously, when Michelle's up. But if we're gone or if we're sleeping, anytime it's safe for her, I have it on. This will knock somebody flat because this is one of the most valued items on the property and one of the biggest targets for a certain person. Anyway, what I have here, I just took the tarp off. That's why there's pieces of wood all over. This is so cool. I never did show you this yet. This was the second piece of the sawmill, and it's an old Ford straight six truck engine with manual transmission. That's a plain old simple Ford with a boat gas tank. It's hilarious. Plain old Ford engine and a home-built trailer that looks military. It's so cool. It actually looks military, but it's home-built. Actually, the whole thing looks military. I think the person that did this must have liked the military look. But he did a good job. The roof is, if I can show you, hinged in 3 separate sections, which is really cool for maintenance or lifting out the engine as needed. I hope I'll never have to do any of that. The engine runs very, very nice. There's a choke on, off, and starter here. This starter button is bad. There is an adjustment for the governor, which is the automatic speed control right here. I can't see my camera. So there's I can set the speed here and screw this down and manually set the engine speed if I need for getting into heavy cuts. But the governor, which is defective by the way, or needs adjusting, I'm not quite sure yet, is not kicking in. So the governor is not working. Either I need to replace it or figure out what went wrong maybe in transportation, because it's not working at this time. And that's why my cuts are going crooked. I'm not getting straight cuts. Pretty cool. He put an oil pressure gauge right off the side of the block. Really cool. Yeah, everything works. It's got a remote starter and a remote on-off switch on the other side of the mill, which I can't see my camera. I'll show you that when we get over there. Transmission actually works. And here's your clutch, just like driving a truck. Heavy, heavy duty 4 belts, 4 drive belts coming off the, they took a drive shaft, welded it to a pulley on a solid metal shaft. By the way, I did lube up and grease all the joints. Anything where there's a greaser, I did lube up. And then they've got a air tank and an air compressor which runs the dogs, which are the lug clamps, and then your drive shaft going to the mill. And this is just a shaft, and then another set of belts to run the blade and actually operate the mill. So then there's another belt which I need to replace, which runs the hydraulic pump. So this was a Foley Belsaw M14, which is heavily modified. One thing I did like about, or I prefer about the old Belsaw that I had, is the drive mechanism was pure simplicity. And the newer Belsaw model has 6 pulleys. I'm missing something. 7. There's 7 or 8 pulleys on this thing. There, 8. The drive mechanism on the newer model Belsaw has 8 pulleys to run the carriage forward and backward, which I think is ridiculous. It's a lot more failure points, a lot more lube points, a lot more potential failure points. The other just had a simple round pulley that went in right or forward or backward, contacting one or another of the pulleys to drive the carriage. But anyway, that's the only thing I'm not happy about with this one, but it's not a game changer. This one does have an extension, which he designed it so you could flip it up. By the way, the holiday weekend is coming up, so there's heavy traffic. This has an extension here. You can take that off for transportation, which then gives you your tongue for travel. Now I jack this up on blocks and boards. Let me try to squeeze around. I've got a lot of electric fence wires. You can tell I've sawn some lumber on it. Not a lot yet because it is cut and crooked. The first few cuts are always perfect. After that it starts to run crooked. It has an outfeed table, which the rollers are rusted, so I'm working on that. But it's got the outfeed table. It does have a massive carriage protecting. You can't fall into that saw blade. Even if you really tried, it'd be very, very hard to fall into that blade. So that's really nice protection here. Really, really nice setup. And that board just pops right off. I can't see my camera. I like this camera, but I can't see the display. So all your controls are right here. Dogs up and down, and your carriage forward and backward, which sets your depth of cut. And it's all right here. Feed, moving the carriage. I can actually, this Belsaw is so easy to work. If I had Melanie here, I could show you. I can turn the blade by hand, and I can actually move the carriage. If I had 2 hands free, by moving the lever, I can actually move the carriage that simple by hand, just by turning the blade. It's a very, very, very simple machine and very easy. There's the controls for the on-off for the engine and the start button. Now this here is a hydraulic control for a log lifter, which I like. Really a back saver. So there's an hydraulic log lifter that the guy built in. Really, really, really nice. And that's why I've lined up all my logs over here and got them in line. So all I have to do is roll them on and then press a button. I just have to press a button. Isn't that nice? And roll the logs on. The dogs are air powered. That's why you need the air compressor. They're air dogs, air motors. And it's all or nothing. You pop it, you press the button, it pops up, and you press the button, it pops down. And actually it's one button is up, down, and one button is forward and backwards. So it'll do the opposite of what it last did. I'm not excited about that. It's all or nothing. But you can have these pop out or pop in, and these will pop up or pop down. And that's it. So one button up, one button down. So the last thing you did, it'll do the opposite next time. It does work though. I mean, it does work. And then there's a hydraulic motor that feeds the carriage forward and backward. And that is very, very finely adjustable. Boy, I can't see my camera. That is incredibly finely adjustable forward and backward to feed the carriage the depth of your cut of your lumber. And that's all hydraulic. So really amazing, incredibly well built machine. The guy put a lot into this. And I got it. Well, I sold the other mill, bought all the fencing, paid some bills, and still got this. So I got a deal. He's got a big boom on here to hold your hydraulics, and all of that moves with that's on your carriage, and it's an incredible setup. I'll have to show you one day. this whole thing moves, and that just keeps it all from tangling up. And it works. The guy, that must be an engineer. I wish I had asked what his job was, because this is incredible work what he did. So there's the mill. Basic Foley Belsaw, bones, frame, drive mechanism, just a heavily modified carriage. I could very easily convert this back to a standard Belsaw by putting on a different carriage. That's how easy it is. Just literally, if I had a Belsaw carriage, I could pop it on here and run it as a standard non-hydraulic Belsaw. So if there was any major failures or ever wanted to get rid of the hydraulics and convert back to manual operation, that would be an easy job to do. But really amazing, incredible mill. This is a heavy-duty commercial grade type of setup what he's got here. What I have here, it's now mine. It is mine, and it works. I'm loving it. I got to get that governor though, because when you get it, when the blade warms up and you start feeding into a cut, it starts going crooked. So everything's quick disconnect. Really cool. He's got the airlines and the electrical wires. One set of wires runs the electric controls for the hydraulics and the air dogs. I'm not sure, is that for the... There's electric controls to the motor, the hydraulic motor. And then the dogs, the dogs have electric controls. So there's two sets of electronics, all run off the battery. So he's got that, and then the other set of power line, or the other power cable, is the remote start and stop for the engine. I don't like that it doesn't have a air filter, so I'm going to find one, an old truck air filter that'll fit this, because I prefer to keep my engine clean, extend its life. It doesn't smoke, it idles beautifully, runs nice. Really incredible setup. Now I could always, if I had to in a pinch, take that off and hook up my tractor. Literally, it's so amazing. If I had to, I could take this off and slide my tractor PTO on here. And this is a adjustable shaft. This slides in and out. And I could literally pin that on my tractor. I love this setup. This is an incredible setup. So it's very versatile. Very, very amazing and awesome setup. So there's my new mill. Little overview on the new mill. It's a newer version of the Belsaw that I had, the M14. Just highly modified. Well guys, I'm going to get back to it. I just wanted to give you an update. This is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. An incredible tool for the homestead. By the way, I'm not going commercial. This is just because lumber is through the roof in price. And I have a lot of projects on the homestead all the time. There you go guys. Talk to you later.